Eskom is set to release its year-end results in the first week of August, and we're all quite eager to see how the financial state of Eskom is. We're joined by Chris Yelland, expert on energy matters in South Africa. Chris, what should we be waiting for? What do you think we'll see in that report?
Well, in the mid-year results, Eskom showed what appeared to be a very healthy profit. But the second half of the year, Eskom always does worse than the first half. Primarily because in the winter months of the first half of the year, Eskom's prices are very much higher and the usage of electricity is higher. In the second half of the year, prices are lower and consumption of electricity is lower. So generally, some of the profit is wiped out in the second half. However, this year, I'm expecting it to be completely wiped out. Even the possibility of Eskom turning around from I think it was a 9 billion rand profit in the first half of the year to a loss, not maybe a significant loss, but certainly zero or close to zero, either positive or negative. And that is the outcome I would see. And the reason why things are worse than expected are simply because sales are declining and costs are rising. The costs are rising in terms of the financing costs. They're having to repay debt and repay interest on Medupi and Kusile, and not a single one of the units of these power stations is generating commercial electricity yet, and actually therefore generating revenue.
While Medupi will be in August at some point.
We're expecting, by the end of August that the first unit, 800 megawatts at Medupi, will be delivering commercial power, will be handed over for commercial power, but that's not a certainty. It may still be delayed, but let's hope not. But the point is that during the second half of the year, we've seen load shedding. And this is likely to mean less kilowatt hours delivered than it would have liked to have delivered. This means less revenue, costs rising, as I say, interest and repayments, cost of diesel, cost of short-term power purchases, none of which have been allowed by the regulator to be passed through this year, but certainly what we're seeing is upward costs and downward sales, and the second half of the year is traditionally bad, is just going to be worse than traditional because of these increasing costs and declining sales.
And what repercussions would come from those kind of figures coming out?
Well, of course, it means that Eskom has to borrow more money. Not so long ago, the CEO presented a cash flow forecast for 2015, and he showed that even with a 23 billion rand of equity coming in, that's cash in this year, and rolling over 10 billion rand of debt to another year, he would require funding of 66 billion rand, of which 55 billion rand would come from bonds, 10 billion rand from private placings with institutions, and another 1 billion rand of other. So this is what is needed in terms of funding and borrowings this year. I don't think that presents a problem this year, because in fact the 10 billion rand subordinated loan from the government has been converted to equity. And that strengthens Eskom's balance sheet, it reduces its debt-equity ratio, and it enables it to borrow on the strength of that, its way out of this 66 billion rand shortfall for this year. The question, of course, is for next year and the year after, and there, it's been pointed out that the total shortfall till the end of 2018 is 225 billion rand. So one's looking that they're going to have to borrow about 75 billion rand next year, and another 75 billion the year after.
And there's also the next NERSA tariff applications.
That's right. Of course, they hope that this situation might be changed through the tariff, but there's a limit to how much you can put up the price before people start using less electricity because of the rising price. Yeah.